Today, we're going to bring to you the venerable Crown Prince of Reggae, dubbed so by the King of Reggae, Bob Marley, the Honorable Dennis Emmanuel Brown, Commander of the Order of Distinction.
You know, leave nothing. Eh?
No, we can't do that.
Dennis Brown is
the boss.
All right, Mr. Selector.
Man, so we have to start it off now.
I can tell that you are on farm today.
Yeah, no Key West this week.
Yes, no Key West. Look like you had a restful night last night. So
actually, I went to bed 3:15 this morning. Yeah,
I don't want to know what you were doing before that. But seriously, today is a special day, and you know, Dennis Brown is a special artist. For any man out there who claim that they love this music business, particularly Jamaican music, Dennis Brown is a staple. Dennis Brown is, you know, from the beginning of the reggae music period. In fact, he touched a little bit of the rocksteady era.
Yes.
But Dennis Brown represents the quintessential reggae artist.
And I believe that as much as the person who dubbed him Crown Prince is popular, I think amongst Jamaicans, Dennis Brown holds a very special place
absolutely
in the hearts of everybody who's ever come across him or listened to his music.
For one, Dennis Brown holds a special place in my heart. We share the same birth year, not you know, so still a little older than myself.
1900?
1901. 1901. Go ahead, say it. Because you know, there are youngsters in the house, so we're not going to. We actually have a live studio audience. I just want to let the listeners know. But today, we are going to feature the work of Dennis Emmanuel Brown. Dennis started this thing as a youngster. Come from a musical family. His father was a journalist. His brothers and sisters also had a taste for the music themselves, and lived in the famous Big Yard on Orange Street. In fact, if you're familiar with the area, downtown Kingston,
Music Street.
Yes, Orange Street was always referred to as Beat Street, if you will. And Dennis came from there. Started, as I said, very, very early. He was involved in singing competitions and, you know, entertaining at his primary school. And came out of the blocks early, 1960. And, you know, as I said, he was still in primary school when he began his singing career. And you can hear that. If you listen to his voice inflections, you get a taste.
I think Dennis Brown didn't cry when he was born. I think him sing.
Right. Where you're going to buy the liquor. Yeah. But then you do have a point. You know, because clearly, you know, a class of his own. Influenced by some of the biggest names too in the music. Nat King Cole,
Wilson.
On the R&B side. The R&B side, he said he was influenced by Brooke Benton, who's for me one of my favorite crooner. Nat King Cole is another one. Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. And so, you know, if in the early 1960s he's listening to this kind of music, clearly his father influenced as well. You can see where that voice came from. And so he started out, according to the scribes, he went to a show his sister, one of his brothers was doing. And there was a band there called the Fabulous Falcons.
Right.
And they invite him up on the stage. And he, you know, on the basis of a performance that he put on, I think he did a give him like a taste of the voice, and they decided that, hey, this man can sing, you know, and so they rope him into the Fabulous Falcons. But he made his debut at a JLP concert at the National Arena, where he did a song, Johnny Taylor song called "Ain't That Loving You."
Right.
And I think he did two songs. I say he did Desmond Decker's Unity tune, and they say the kind of feedback he got. In fact, people shower the stage with money. You know, the liberal thing, say we shower. So they shower the stage. with money.
I think that's how they get them.
Yeah.
They got their name originally.
Yeah, man. They shower you with
passing.
money. And they said they shower the stage with money, and Dennis make enough money that him could have buy a suit.
The first suit.
First suit and thing. And I think, what's his name? Byron Lee was a backing band. And the Byron Lee decided to write him into his program as an artist. And they, you know, basically that's where it started. You know, they featured him as a performer, as the boy wonder, because he would have been what, 9, 10 years old, 19. Yeah, he would have been about 10 years old. So this is where he started from. And to your point now, where he now came under the influences of people like Delroy Wilson, Errol Dunkley.
As a
right?
Jamaican artist was his main influence.
Right. And he spoke well to people like Ken Booth, who we ran our show with last week and thing. But he hit the ground running with a song called Lips of Wine. And this is just to give the listeners, you know, we came forward, but to set the stage, let's
Yeah,
go
the
back.
interesting thing about Lips of Wine is that it said he had recorded it with Derek Harriott.
Yes,
but
who
they
never released it.
And then he
Yes.
went and did this with
Studio
the
One. All right, so the two tunes we just played, Lips of Wine and No Man is an Island. It's basically Dennis Brown coming out of the stable with Coxsone. Early, very, very early. And, you know, two songs, as you said earlier, that Lips of Wine was done originally with Derek Harriott. And apparently the tune sat on with Derek Harriott for a little bit. And Dennis went to Coxsone and redid it.
Yep.
So I think Derek eventually released his version of the thing. So, which is another feature of Jamaican music during the same period, where, you know, the same song is being released on two different labels, essentially based on, you know, the way how the artist was moving from one side to the next. But
And for those of you who don't know, No Man is an Island is a cover song originally done by the Van Dykes.
yeah, all right. Providing the historical perspective. That's what you get when you come to Sunday Scoop. So
And
again,
he went in later on and he did another version, well, not a version, but a newer version of If My Heart I Played on those.
Right.
Back to back.
Yeah, well, I understand from someone we're getting some feedback that the shares are showing up as private. Just invite the listeners to go to the Facebook page, Sunday Scoop's Facebook page, and just take the show from there, or go to
yardmedia.com. YAAWDMEDIA.com.
I have no idea what's going on with Facebook.
Or you can listen to mixlr.com/old school rules, OLDSKOOLRULEZ.
All right. So Dennis Brown, again, we're looking at and just trying to show that versatility of the artist. As I said earlier, Dennis epitomizes the quality of the vocal performances that come out of Jamaica. And again, for one who started at such a young and tender age, he
showed some serious maturity, especially when it comes to performing and music. Yeah.
But again, that probably was coming from, because his family is a performing family, if you will. And I guess, you know, it's owed to that as well.
And it also shows that Kingston was not as repressed as some people would have you think. And the reason why I say that is Dennis Brown had, even though he was in a big tenement yard, he was in a nuclear family. His dad was a very intelligent man. The man was a journalist
yeah.
and everything. So it also showed in his maturity, even though he used to thief out of the yard, and as usual, every youngster back in the day would do when he want to hang out with a friend them and, you know, listen to some music on Beat Street at the time.
I like that, the use of that term, Beat Street. Dr. Howard always they talk about that effusively, you know, because his old man played the song. But to the career of Dennis, from early door, Dennis was experimenting with different producers as well. He did a couple of songs with your boy, Lloyd Daly.
Right, the Matador.
Yeah, the Matador. Baby Don't Do It, and
Things in
Life.
So let's hear a taste of Things in Life. It's Too Late was produced, and actually the song was originally done by Carole King. She was a writer too in 1971, and again covered by Gloria Estefan in 1994. But Dennis Brown did a great version on this song. And what we're trying to do is just give you more music. And we're still going to give you a little background behind the music, but Dennis Brown's catalog is so extensive that we'll still be here next week Sunday playing and not repeating.
More importantly, we want to entertain our listeners and viewers. The whole idea is, and we're going to still give you the historical background behind the music. In fact, just this was the music you've been listening to the last 3 or so songs came from Dennis Brown's relationship with Randy Chin. And Randy Chin, if you for those who follow the music, has had a long, well, the name Randy Chin as a production house has been a long and fruitful association with Jamaican music. In fact, they moved up here
to Florida,
and continued
under VP Records.
As VP Records. So, this again is just giving you an introduction into the depth of the Dennis Brown catalog. We want to feature one more song that came out of that. In fact, he did some work with Herman Chinloy as well, right?
Yes, but we're going to do the last of the Randy and then we'll get into the Herman Chinloy.
Let's
last of Randy Chin first. I just want to let you know that Delroy Wilson did a version of this in 1968, but I think the most popular version is Jacob Miller's version.
Oh, that is going to be a show when we roll that show out with Jacob Miller. But we want to just move now to Dennis Brown, going over to Herman Chinloy. In the 1970s, early 1970s, nobody really took Herman Chinloy seriously. And
as we talk about that, Herman had a song that he called Dunce Bat. Remember that song? Where he was like R-A-T cow, M-A-T moon. But Aquarius Records, if none of you who don't know,
in the heart of half a tree.
Heart of half a tree.
Right. Just as you come around
Herman Chinloy, he ran Aquarius Records, and he later on moved up to Manor Park and had another little place up there. But he was a very successful businessman.
Successful.
And
in fact,
when I used to work at Sun Island T-shirts, and I had a little bit of monetary issue, and I went to Herman to borrow a $20 from him until the next payday. And Herman said, "No man, you're not going to lend you no money. What I want is big and strong." And I used to work out in the gym. He said, "Just anytime any vagrant come around here, just throw them out of the store." And that's how I earned my first moonlighting $50 in half a tree.
But he was noted for because of his new approach to the music. And the kind of, at that time, most of the youngsters, the artists were youngsters. So everybody would leave school in the evening and you cluster right at Aquarius record shop, because that was where the action was.
And you know what I used to do? I used to just go through and take down each record that he had displayed on the side and read the liner notes. And that's how I learned a lot about the music too, who was producing, who was the backup artist on these songs when they were done. So that kind of started my early introduction to music history.
Your mother never wasted her money when she sent you to go to school at all.
You couldn't read it, it would all be lost.
You learned well.
Reading maketh the man.
We want to now feature some of the music from the Aquarius stables, and we're going to kick it off a little bit before we take a little break again. Just a pause for the cause in a little bit. But we're going to kick off the Herman Chinloy segment. It's Too Late.
I had to give you a piece of Prince Mohammed on that one. Could sneak it in? George Nooks.
In fact, yes. George Nooks has had his career has run several stages, about 25, 30 years. But again, this is Dennis Brown, who you kind of jump him a little, but this is Dennis when he had now started to say Rastafari.
Mid-70s.
Right? The mid-1970s, Dennis Brown. In fact, he had gone to England 74 with a tour with Cynthia Richards and Al Brown and so on.
Sharon Forrester.
And Sharon Forrester and the Maytals. And he was asked to stay, you know, because such was, it wasn't so much the rest of the people in the tour, it was him.
Yes.
Because of the caliber of the music that he was turning out. And so they basically asked him to stay. And around the same time, they struck up this deal with what they call Morpheus Records.
Yeah, Castro Brown.
With
Castro Brown.
Castro Brown. And
Devious took a brother, you know.
But it never go anywhere, because in fact it caused Dennis Brown a lot of heartache, and to the extent that he left the music for a little bit, right? Go ahead.
No, the reason why I say I'm not really, when I said devious, it's not that I'm being malicious.
No, but it's not malicious.
It's personal experience. Because I designed some record labels for Castro Brown, and I'm yet to be paid.
The scribes of the business make the same argument about him. And in fact, it was one of the problems that a lot of the singers and performers out of Jamaica had similar problems with this guy, you know, especially because remember the England, tour, the England element of the the development of the music was very, very critical to the growth of reggae. So you needed to have that.
And he had cemented himself in England.
And And so when you get to the stage where the artists have perform and send up the records, and records sell, but you're not making any money. And, you know, this is Dennis trying to take over his own production. And, you know, the thing just went in the wrong direction. So, this is where, you know, Dennis kind of took a little... in fact, he had a song, No More Will I Roam.
Right.
Which kind of epitomized where he was in terms of his career. Let's give a listen.
To No More Will I Roam.
No More Will I Roam. And in my mind, it was Dennis Brown basically coming to terms with where he was. You know, in terms of his development, he had spent a number of years. He would have now been in the music for almost 14 years. And, you know, to come up against a kind of roadblock like this. So let's give a listen.
We had run that earlier, but we touched again. One thing about this song, you know, Dennis was in the prime of his Rastafari days, and this song was for the people who was jumping on the Rastafari bandwagon. Those who just had dreads, but was criminal element.
So wait, let me ask you something. Where were you? Which side you were? You didn't just jump on the bandwagon?
No, I wasn't on the bandwagon.
Oh, so you jump on it later?
You know, to this date, every time I go to play, people say, yo, the better that play Rasta music. Even last night, once a boy, you and your Rasta man tune come and play pure Richie Spice and Sizzler. And Caperton, Fireman. But yeah, you know, this was about the criminal element in Jamaica who was wearing dreads, but they were not real Rastaman, and this was what this song was about. Wolves and Leopard, Wagonists.
I think a big part of it too, because a lot of the songs that he produced at this point in time had the same kind of influence. If you go back, this song, Take a Trip to Zion.
Yes.
Right? These songs too were done at Black Ark Studio with none other than Scratch Perry. Lee Scratch Perry. Let's give a listen. Again, but this, when you play a tune like this, especially look at the time we are in today, in terms of, we are seeing the kind of responses from our youngsters, and it almost is like Malcolm X reaching out of the grave and telling you, this is, he foretold this time. Yes, and for the first time in American history, you're now seeing that the foundation for social change has taken root. The song almost give me goosebumps every time you think,
And this is an Earl 16 tune.
There you go.
Earl 16.
In fact, one thing too is that Dennis had left 90 and was now working out with Joe Gibbs. So a lot of the songs that you're getting at this point in time was his relationship with Joe Gibbs. One of the things that he did with Joe Gibbs too, because the man ended up paying the money. He said Joe Gibbs in exchange for the studio time at Joe Gibbs, he gave Joe Gibbs the right to use
any
the rhythm
that was created at the time.
Any rhythm that he created at the time. So that's why you got a lot of these George Nooks, the combination with Joe Gibbs, hook on the DJ thing, and then turn it into
and for those of you who don't know, and the 12-inch was called Disco 45.
Disco 45. Because
even though it was big, it was played at 45 RPM. That's why it was a Disco 45. So from the top, Malcolm X, produced in 1977.
Pull up! Dennis Brown, this is where me are telling me, grow up on this now. This is my time. I'm telling you, I work now and like money I run and, you know, and you can, I'm a George Webb, you know.
And now you can buy a second beer.
And you can buy 2 or 3 beer in the party.
You'd have to nurse 1 beer for the whole night.
Whole night. Hot beer used to kill me in a Virgin. But Dennis Brown.
I never used to smoke.
No, I'm not smoke weed. But listen, it is if you're just joining us, you're in tune to Sunday Scoops. Why not just big up all the fathers out there? Every Sunday, 2 to 4 o'clock. This is the place to be.
Yeah, man. And a big shout out to all the listeners in Mixlr.com, Old School Rules, like Joel Gaddafi, Migraine, Doc Jules in Alabama, Gina D, Dimitri, my brethren, big up yourself, Gregory 1122, also Papa Jackson. Yeah, man.
And we want to big up all the listeners, so the viewers
who are on yardmedia.com.
Welcome, make yourself comfortable because guess
drop
what?
A chair.
This is where Sunday Schools is going to be every Sunday.
And that way we won't get interrupted.
There you go.
We won't get cut off midway. We won't be, halt and pull up. And I don't know me a haul and pull up.
Facebook or haul and pull up.
Hitman Carl Marshall.
Want to big up my brethren, Anif Budai as well, the professor.
Yes.
Let's run the tune, my brother. Milk and honey.
Soul Master G and Karen Who with her. Big up yourself.
Now, Dennis Brown, without question, one of the best that we produced out of Jamaica. Dennis, by this time, now had basically taken charge of his production, the work that he was producing. So he was now managing all aspects of his music.
With the whole Morpheus deal fell through.
Yes.
He created the DEB,
which
is
label.
Dennis Emmanuel Brown label.
Right.
Right.
And that now became the vehicle through which he was moving a lot of his music. Still did some work with Joe Gibbs at the same time, but more than ever, he was now pushing the production and the marketing of his work. One of the things, by this time we're trending 1978, 79,
yes.
One of the best performances that I remember of Dennis Brown was the One Love Peace concert. A lot of people tend to talk about that concert purely from the Bob Marley
perspective, yes.
In my opinion, and I was there from the gate open. Right?
Real tetes.
And because I don't remember how me end up there, but me under the stage, right at the front. I mean, I tell you, Jacob Miller and Dennis Brown. But Dennis Brown gave a masterful performance. I think that was the point at which Dennis cemented himself, not only as a studio crooner, but as a performing artist.
And that's one of the things I was just about to comment about, is if you listen to Dennis's albums, from his Rastafari beliefs to him being the consummate romancer, is that he has managed on every single one of his albums, his studio albums, to have the perfect balance between crooning and preaching. And let me tell you, man, plus the timbre of his voice again, wicked, masterful.
In fact, this was basically the beginning of the most successful period of his career. He did a lot of work, a fair amount of collaborations. There was a couple of big collaborations with people like John Holt. He did Gregory Isaacs.
Yes.
With Leroy Sibbles as well.
Yes.
Quite a bit of work. We're gonna touch on some of those works in this segment of the program. Over to you, Big G.
Yes. Inseparable we are.
We know that you guys out there enjoying this session, but guess what we want you to do? Check out the other side of the website. You see them nice shirts that we have on? And
They're available.
Every one of them available on the website, and the price them wicked good. Eh? Quality unquestionable. You know, we have to water the garden. But seriously, Dennis Brown is without question. Personally, as from a biased perspective,
yes,
I'm my artist. I have seen Dennis Brown in concert more than a dozen times. Eh? It don't matter what happened. It don't matter how often you see him. Just like how the man has been gone from us now for what, 21 years. But the music is as fresh as if they just come out of the studio yesterday. That is that is what quality is all about. That is what class is all about.
Yeah. And he had an untimely death. The man died young, 42 years old.
42 years of age. But you know, the government and people of Jamaica recognized him well from early. I mean, you imagine a youth with a career from 9 years old.
A man of 80 odd studio albums.
And 370 singles. That's it.
82 albums. Twice his age.
There you go. 300 and you imagine that, roughly 380 singles. And I'm telling you, no other artist has the volume in terms of the catalog that he has. And you know, he, as you said, Garth, his passing was a shock. I remember, just like I remember when Bob Marley transitioned, you remember exactly where you were.
Yes, I was in school at the time.
It
was on a Monday morning.
It freaked you out because then, you know, it's kind of brought me personally, you know, closer to your own mortality.
Yes,
then
it's one of those things.
My age. And so you said to yourself, you know, how? But a Jamaican favorite, a Jamaican staple, the Crown Prince of reggae. And that's what we're featuring in this segment. Garth, I'm going to let you go so you run for the next 15 minutes. But let's...
Just before the music.
Before the music, a pause for the cause. There you go.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.